All right, so welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk about shoulder complex. We'll basically expand on the same subject we started last time. Actually, we have been talking about shoulder complex for a few weeks now with Aldis and Ellie, but now I just started doing this YouTube live thing, and last time we talked about shoulder complex. We discussed sits muscles, and then we did talk about pectorals. I think we had pectoralis major, and then I think latissimus dorsi was the other one, right? So we talked about six muscles of the pectoral shoulder region, shoulder girdle region. So we'll review this one more time. So we will review basic anatomy. We will review what exactly a shoulder girdle is, what joints are we talking about, what bones are we talking about, and what muscles are we talking about regarding shoulder girdle. So right now, presently, we have Aldis, Elena, and Gattis. Aldis is personal trainer. Elena is yoga teacher, and Gattis is half marathon runner. I think he doesn't do marathons. I think only half marathons. So, all right, let's get started. Let's start with the basic anatomy. Let me share my screen. We'll go into infinity now. Here we go. Yes, and here we go. Yes, infinity. All right. Okay. So last time I showed you a couple. This is Netter. Okay, so these images come from Netter's book. I don't really have permission to use these images, so probably we won't. I just wanted to show you guys that this is one of the books that you can use. I will show you the cover in a bit. In this one we can see the origins and insertions. Origins are in red, insertions are in blue. So that's basically, this image shows where muscles start and where muscles end. Netter's images are really good to look at if you want to learn specifically muscle anatomy. So that's clavicle, that's joint anatomy, that's shoulder girdle, that's external, kind of like view, just dissection, that's just a surface anatomy. So I just wanted to kind of like to show you guys what that looks like from Netter. I can use, however, I have full permission on these. So this is a book a colleague of mine did, Nikita Vizhnyak. He made this, so I mean we have mutual agreement, so we can use these. And I think, you know what, let's start with this. This looks quite interesting. So what do we see here? So this is basically a dissection. This is a cross section of the right shoulder. Okay. So first of all, let's figure this out. What does that mean? Lateral view of right shoulder. Who can answer that? So let's go back to video. Yes. So lateral view of the right shoulder, that's what it says, right? So basically that image shows, so this is my left shoulder, this is my right shoulder. If we cut the shoulder like this and we go from outside inwards, right? So that's what that image shows. Lateral moving outside, medial moving towards the midline. So, and once again, so let's review this one more time. Every time we repeat this, because really I want you guys to memorize this, because these are really the basics. That's the basic language in anatomy, basic language, you know, like talking doctors, physiotherapists, chiropractors. That's how we communicate with each other. So there is superior, inferior, superior going towards the ceiling, inferior going down towards the ground, right? So that's superior direction, that's inferior direction. Lateral direction, moving away from the body. Medial direction, moving towards closer to the body. And then talking the limbs, you know, that's usually like upper limbs and lower limbs. We can also say proximal and distal. Distal moving away from center of your body, proximal moving closer. So let's say forearm, that's my right forearm. That's the elbow, that's the wrist joint. So we can say that the wrist joint is distal to elbow, and elbow is proximal to wrist joint. So is that clear? So this is distal direction, this is proximal direction. So what that image basically shows is it is lateral view of the right shoulder. This is my right side shoulder. If we cut my right side shoulder like this, and we are looking from this side, that's what that image shows. So let's go back to that image now. Okay, so that's what we see here. So that's a dissection of the right shoulder, and these are the majority of muscles that we talked about last time. So let's see what we have here. What is this? So how do we call this one right there? Right on top. So that's the one that is taking the superior, occupying superior aspect of the shoulder girdle. That's supraspinatus right there. So that's number 3. Supraspinatus is one of the sits muscles, SITS. These are the most important muscles talking joint stability. First one, that's the first S, supraspinatus. Supraspinatus. Next one is I. So where do we see I? That's teres minor, right there, 15, number 15. Teres minor, right here. And we can see that all these muscles, all these sits muscles go right along the joint line, right. Sorry, not the joint line, but they are really close to the joint surface, external surface. They surround the shoulder joint, glenohumeral joint to be exact. So that's teres minor. Sorry, not teres minor. Infraspinatus. Teres minor is T right there. So that's this one. I is infraspinatus. Infraspinatus, we can see that should be number 16 right there. Infraspinatus. Okay, that should be good enough. Infraspinatus. So these first 3 of the sits muscles, they are muscles of the posterior region, meaning muscles that surround the shoulder joint from the back. Right, so this is all posterior region. That's the back. This is backside. That's posterior. And this is anterior direction. So this probably, all this stuff is probably quite confusing for Gattis right now. Like he's probably just looking at this picture and trying to figure this out. Like I'll try to clarify all this. Let's just go through this very quickly. So we are talking about sits muscles at first, and then we'll expand on this. I'll show you from some other views, and then we'll put this picture together. And then the last one should be this. Right, so that's the. So as you can see, it is on the other side. So this is number 6. That's subscapularis. That's the only muscle from the sits group that is found anteriorly on the front. Okay, so once again, so we have 3 on the back. This is supraspinatus, this is infraspinatus, this is teres minor, that's subscapularis. Okay, let me show you another view. Okay, where can we see this? Maybe a little bit better. Okay, right there. So this is actually, so this is the other picture. What we were looking at was lateral view. So this is inferior view. This is looking from the bottom. So this is inferior view. So and these are right there. So we can see it's like a sling from both sides. So these are posterior region muscles. And that's the only muscle that comes from the front. So this is subscapularis here. And these are the posterior region muscles. So that was supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. So that's posterior. So this is basically, that's the back. Okay, and this is the front, and we are looking at this from the bottom. Okay, so this is an inferior view. Oh, let's take a look at another image where you can see right there. Okay, let's take a look at this now. So this is clearly, we are looking from the okay, so that's a question for you guys. So what view is this? You can turn your mics on. I would like to hear probably from either Ellen or Uldis. So what view is this? So we just a moment ago we looked at the sits muscles from the side laterally, and from the bottom inferiorly. What view is this now? You should put that together. I mean, by yourselves. Can you do that? Oh, I'm back. So you can turn the mic on. Let's have a quick chat. Who wants to go? Probably either Uldis or Ellie.
I think we both, Ellie and I, answer anterior. It's in the chat.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's, so once again, so we looked at 3 views. So the first one was from the side. So we're looking, so we're kind of like zooming into our body from the side. Okay, so that's that. So if we cut the joint like this. The other one, so the second one was looking from the bottom. So we are looking downwards, right? So, and you could see that there's 1 muscle on the front, 3 muscles from the back. Those 4 muscles are the most important muscles for stability. So that's well, of course, there's going to be ligaments that hold the glenohumeral joint together, but these 4 muscles are crucial for stability. If there is anything really goes wrong with the joint, we definitely need to tighten those muscles up. So somebody that has shoulder issues will definitely need to strengthen these muscles, and specifically the ones that will externally rotate the shoulder, specifically infraspinatus and teres minor. We talked about that quite a bit. So from the bottom we could see that they make like a sling, right? So 1 from the front and 3 from the back. So and they all do this tug of war. 3 of them will pull. Well, actually 2 of them. Not all 3 posterior sits muscles will do external rotation. Only the ones that are on the bottom. So only teres minor and infraspinatus. But they will do this sort of like a back and forth rotation, right? So yeah, so something happened there. Sorry about that. Technology. All right. So once again, so first image showed us lateral view. Second image showed us inferior view. The third image is looking from the front. So as you see me right now. So one side shoulder, basically dissected. So we remove all the skin and everything, and we can see, first of all, we can see subscapularis on the front, and then six muscles, other six muscles from the back. So let's take a look at that one more time. Actually, I don't mind that you leave your mic on while there's no video, okay? Because then we can actually have a conversation. When I turn the video on, then we can probably mute the mics, because that way we can actually have a conversation. So, okay, so yes, so this is anterior view. Anterior view of the which side? Which side is this? Which side's shoulder girdle is that? Left or right? That's a question. So who can answer that? Hold this, Elena.
That's the left shoulder.
That's the left shoulder, correct. Okay, so that's so this is anterior view. Anterior view. Anterior view of the left shoulder. Left shoulder girdle. Shoulder girdle is basically those are the structures that connect the upper limb to your axial skeleton, to your axis, to your body, basically, right? So, and primarily we are talking about clavicle and scapula. Humerus is not really, humeral bone is not really part of the shoulder girdle, because that's already arm. So this humeral bone, that's already part of the arm. And part of the arm is, that's actually, so, and then there's going to be radius ulna. Arm is so-called, arm is part, and so the arms and your legs are part of appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton. An axial skeleton, that's basically everything that has direct connection to your spine, to your vertebral column. So there's going to be a sternum here on the front. Well, that doesn't exactly look like that, but something like that. And there's going to be ribs, and there's going to be vertebrae at the back, right? And the pelvis, and that's a tabular-femoral joint. So basically everything that has direct connection to your spine is going to be, let's use a different color. That's going to be axial skeleton. That's axis. Axial skeleton. This is your axis. So, and basically, shoulder girdle is a set of bones that connects your arm to your axis, to your axial skeleton, to your vertebral column, basically. And those are primarily clavicle and scapula. And here, in this image, we can see that one of these muscles, one of the sits muscles, is going to occupy this anterior space here, and it is very, very closely aligned, just along the joint, right? So it basically kind of like cups the joint from the front. And then there's going to be those three other muscles from the back, right? So that's mostly we're talking about the stability. So basically the shoulder stays where it should be. And once again, as I said, if there are any kind of shoulder problems, if somebody dislocated the shoulder or stretched out the ligaments or anything at all, anything happened, then so those people will definitely need to strengthen these muscles, and primarily the posterior muscles. The anterior, like subscapularis, is going to be strong as it is because it's internal rotator. It's one of the internal rotator group muscles, and they are usually strong as they naturally are. Okay, let's take a look at this image. So this is what view is this? You can turn your mics on one more time. So what actually, and here we can see all the muscles that we just talked about. What view is this now? I think last time we actually pulled this out. Can somebody answer that? Actually, right there. Right there, so I can see your chat. So you can write me in chat, or you can just say. So what does this look like? What view is that? So clearly we can see the scapula, we can see clavicle, we can see humerus. That's medial view. That's right. So let me show myself one more time. So that image, what that shows, so that's not lateral, that's actually looking from inside, right? So medial view is meaning we are looking from the axis, from the middle of our body, basically. We are looking from the middle of our body outwards, right? So that's medial view. We are looking at the joint from inside, going outwards. That is called medial view. If we are looking from outside inward, that is called lateral view. If we are looking from inside outwards, that's medial view. Let's go back to our image here. So yeah, so basically here we are looking from the inside, and that's the clavicle. That's the clavicle. Or the collarbone. In Latvian, we say atslēgas kauls. And this is your scapula. Or in Latvian, we say lāpstiņi, right? Lāpstiņi. And that's part of the arm. That's humerus. And here we can see all these 6 muscles. So this is the one that's from the front. This is subscapularis. It is going to do internal rotation, very strong internal rotator. That's supraspinatus. And this is infraspinatus. We don't really see teres minor. It is kind of hiding there, but it should be right here. We should probably see just a little bit of it right there. So 3 from the back, 1, 2, 3, 1 from the front. Supraspinatus. Infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis from the front. Infraspinatus and teres minor are really important. These are super important. These are the ones that you will have to strengthen if there's something wrong with your shoulder joint. Definitely, 100%. There's no doubt about that. So let's talk about this one more time. Let me show. So that we're talking about subscapularis versus these two, right? So that's infraspinatus and teres minor. This muscle is gonna rotate the shoulder inwards. These two are gonna rotate the shoulder joint outwards. Okay, let's see how does that look like. So we are talking about internal rotation and external rotation. Internal rotation, very strong as it is, because we have all these huge muscles that will do that. Once again, this is especially for Uldis and Elin, this is a review. This is we talked about this dozens of times in past, but God, this is new. I mean, he's probably just, like there's just like so much information coming in. His head is going to explode. But one more time. So we are talking about internal rotators and external rotators. Internal rotators will be always more powerful as external rotators as it is, because they are way bigger, and there are way more muscles in your body that will do internal rotation. External rotation, only 2, really. Well, actually, part of the posterior deltoid, so deltoid muscle, posterior fibers will do external rotation as well, but the deltoid is definitely not one of the primary external rotators. primary external rotators are infraspinatus and teres minor. And just look at the size of them, and they had opposed pectorals, right? So pectorals major, they had opposed latissimus dorsi, they had opposed subscapularis and other internal rotators. That's huge chunk of meat, right? So and all those muscles will internally rotate the shoulder. So if there's some kind of pathology, or if there's some kind of injury you are recovering from, you will definitely need to strengthen the weakest link in the pectoral region, and those are these external rotators. So you will basically, somebody that has been going to physio, and maybe you have friends that went to physio, some kind of anything really, like let's say a collarbone fracture, so clavicle fracture, or humeral fracture, or ligamentous tear, or supraspinatus, some kind of like injury to supraspinatus, or injury to any structure in the shoulder region, really. Physio or chiropractor will, I just guarantee, I cannot say 100%, but I would say 90%, they will all ask you to take the rubber and do this, right? So like external rotation strengthening, right? So that's these are the muscles that will definitely need strengthening. Let's go back to our image. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so that's a medial view, and okay, and so just to summarize this. Okay, this is, and that's another view. So what view is this? What view are looking at here? This should be superior view, right? So this should be the view from the top. So we are looking at the and once again, what shoulder is this? Which side shoulder is that? Oh. Well, it's still the same. It's still the left shoulder, right? So because we see the clavicle, so there should be sternum here, and so that's the left scapula. That's the acromion process. That's the humerus. So this is basically look from the top, and again we can see the right there. So this is the inner side, and this is the outer side. So this is actually supraspinatus. Let me actually start coloring this. So right there. So here, this one is actually supraspinatus, right? And this is part of the subscapularis, right? So that's the internal rotator of the shoulder. Infraspinatus and teres minor, we can't really see them because they are just below the supraspinatus. You know what? Let's actually look at that. So I have my three-dimensional body here. This is probably going to be a little bit better. You know what? We don't really need all this. We don't need. Let me click that first. Okay, here we go. So okay, so we are looking at the left shoulder. So that's how it looks like right there. So this is just a skeleton. So that's just a skeleton, but you can see that there's sort of like a space on top, and there's space underneath. And obviously these spaces are going to be occupied by muscles. So what do we have here? Here we should have supraspinatus, supraspinatus. Supra meaning above, spinatus meaning spine. So that's the spine. That's the spine of the scapula. So basically what that muscle says, the name of the muscle says that it is located above the spine of the scapula, supraspinatus. Infraspinatus meaning located below the spine of the scapula, and then we have teres minor. So those are the posterior region muscles. Those are the muscles from the back, and then from the front, there's going to be right there. That's going to be one of the internal rotators. That's going to be subscapularis. Let me click them in so you can have a little bit better view. Right, left. muscles of the neck, muscles of the back, upper limb right there. Here we go. Left pectoral girdle. Okay, right there. So let's click subscapularis, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. Okay, right there. So these are the muscles that we were talking about. As you can see, 3 from the back, 1 from the front. This is actually the strongest internal rotator. It's just because it's leverage. It is actually, well, here you can see it's kind of like it looks kind of flat. In reality, it is a little bit bigger. It's not that flat. It's very strong internal rotator. And these 3 muscles right there, these are the ones that will occupy posterior region of the pectoral girdle. 1 from the top, supraspinatus once again. Supraspinatus meaning located above the spine of the scapula. You can see that it inserts right there. It inserts actually at the top of the humeral bone. That is why it is not gonna be able to perform external rotation. Let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm talking about the internal rotation versus external rotation. External rotation meaning humerus, your shoulder rotating outwards, right? Internal rotation, humerus rotating inwards. Okay, this muscle is not able to do any of these actions because it is located on the top of the shoulder girdle. It is attached to the top of the humerus. That's why it cannot create any type of rotational movement. It's not possible. But it will do abduction, so it will actually elevate the shoulder up. It's gonna create abduction. So basically, just think about these fibers shortening. That means this bone is gonna be drawn to the side, and that is called abduction. Abduction meaning away from the body. Adduction. Adduction. Closer towards the body. So this muscle is gonna be able to create only abduction, no rotation whatsoever. These muscles, these other ones, however, are going to be able to create rotational movement. Okay, so these, as you can see, they are located a little bit lower. So they, as they pull on the humeral bone, they'll be able to create this outward rotation. And then there's the one from the front. That's the one that's going to be internally rotating the shoulder. That's the subscapularis. Let's take a look at that one more time right there. This muscle. So you can kind of see, like right there, that's a really good view. You can see that these 2 muscles, they are located a little bit lower, and that's why as they pull on the humeral bone, they will be able to externally rotate the bone. And this muscle obviously can rotate it inwards. This muscle cannot do any of that. It will be able to lift it up. That's it. That's about it. It's going to be able to create abduction of the shoulder joint. Okay, so these are sits muscles, right? So these are very essential for the shoulder stability. You can see that how they cup the shoulder joint from both sides. 3 from the back, 1 from the front. Today I was hoping to to take a look at some of the other structures that surround the shoulder joint. They are not essential for stability, though. But however, they will cross the shoulder joint. Last time we talked about pectoralis major, so let's click that in. Pectoralis major. And I think the other one was latissimus dorsi. Is that right? I'm forgetting. I think we talked about. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was latissimus dorsi. Is that correct? Turn your mic on, somebody. I think these were the muscles that we looked at last time. Yes or no?
Yeah, there was a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
So, correct.
So correct. So the sits muscles: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis, pectoralis major from the front, latissimus dorsi from the back. These 6 muscles we looked at last time. Today we are not really gonna go into the anatomy one more time. Let's add a couple more. Okay, let me just quickly show you, especially this goes specifically for guttis, probably because we talked about this last time and before last time, but this is quite important, just kind of like to visualize this, how some of these muscles rotate the shoulder joint, basically the humeral bone outwards, and some of them are rotated inwards. This muscle, although it is located in the back, okay, we can clearly see that it comes from the back. That's the swimmer's muscle, right? So all swimmers have huge latissimus dorsi, or people that do chin-ups, pull-ups, that type of stuff, or climb trees, or anything. So any sort of activity that will involve some kind of a pulling, right? So pulling towards yourself, judo, wrestling, any that type of stuff, right? So you grab somebody and just like pull it towards yourself. All those people will have huge latissimus dorsi. So we're talking about this guy here, right? What that muscle does, although it is located at the back, but we will in a bit we will look at the attachment on the humerus. It is actually attached at the inner, so it kind of like it twists around. So like as it comes from the back, the fibers actually twist 180 degrees, and they will insert the medial surface on the medial surface of the humerus, and therefore it is going to be able to create internal rotation. It's you would think that it is located at the back, so it must pull on the humerus outwards. Not exactly, right? Just because of the anatomy, just because of how the fibers go and where does it insert, it actually pulls on the humerus inwards. And that's why swimmers. So let's say butterfly, for example, very good example, or crawl, or any of the swimming activity. All of them are just basically based on pushing the water downwards, right? So that's why they have those huge lats, right? So like all swimmers have that V-shaped back, right? Because that internal rotation and pushing the water downwards is just gonna work on this muscle, like muscle mass growth, right? Let's go back to screen share. Right there. So see how this muscle it actually sort of like wraps around the humerus, and it inserts at the front. This is where it inserts, right there. This is a little bit better view right there. So as the muscle fibers pull, obviously they will pull on the bone internally. And then we have pectoralis major, then we have subscapularis. So these 3 muscles are the biggest internal rotators. And just look at the comparison. Only these 3 muscles, and they are not the only one that will create internal rotation. But look at the size: pectoralis major, subscapularis, latissimus dorsi, and then we have these 2 guys right there. We have infraspinatus and teres minor. These are the only, well, not the only, they are the strongest external rotators. Look at the size of these two and look at the size of all the internal rotators. So obviously internal rotation as it is going to be way stronger because, once we were monkeys and we were, basically our skeleton, our musculoskeletal system is meant to climb trees, right? So, and that's as you just think about the this activity, right? So we are climbing tree, right? So like we are grabbing on something and we're pulling downwards, right? So that's all that internal rotation and adduction. That's why this muscle group is way stronger. There's not a whole lot of activities that we do in our daily life that will involve something like that, unless you're a waiter, for example, like carrying a tray, carrying something, right there. So those guys actually will help overwork the external rotators, and that's one example. But normally, internal rotation way stronger, and internal rotators usually those are the big external unit, outer unit muscles. At first lectures we talked about inner unit and outer unit. Remember, inner unit, that's the core muscles. So those are the which muscles are those? Once again, I just want to see if you remember. So Eileen, hold this.
Diaphragm, pelvic floor.
Pelvic floor.
From the front, all this, help me.
Transversus abdominis.
Transversus abdominis.
Multifidus.
Multifidus. Yes, that's inner unit. And then we have outer unit. We have all the oblique systems, anterior oblique system, posterior oblique system, deep longitudinal line, and lateral line, right? So those are the yes. Gata says he has to go. He has to go back to work. Probably it was my fault. I didn't quite realize that the link that I shared is actually just to watch this on YouTube. Right, we just figured that out. So there's another link that I had to send to people that actually want to join this, like our conversation. So finally, that's solved. So let's continue. So we talked about internal, external rotators. We went over the anatomy of supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis, deltoid, pectoralis major. And actually, I think it was teres major. That was the only. That was the other one. So it was 6 muscles last time that we talked about. It wasn't latissimus dorsi. It was teres major. So let's continue. Let's add a couple more. Let's quickly do a quick review of the ones that we already know. And then we will add a couple more. So yeah, that's right. I think it wasn't latissimus dorsi. I think it actually was teres major. It was this guy. But I mentioned latissimus dorsi, and I remember I said that sometimes they blend together the fibers. They don't really, in reality, it doesn't really look like this, right? Sometimes there's no, actually not just sometimes, but in reality there's just no separation between teres major and latissimus dorsi. You can actually say that it's a muscle with 2 heads because they insert relatively at the same spot, and they originate relatively from the same spot as well, because latissimus dorsi usually does attach the inferior angle of the scapula as well. So it's kind of like muscle with 2 heads, the teres major and latissimus dorsi. Anyhow, let's add a couple more. Let's take a look at deltoid, for example. Deltoid is the most superficial muscle of the pectoral region. That's the muscle that will surround all these muscles from the top and from the sides, from the front, from the side, and from the back. Deltoid is very interesting. Deltoid is the one that will do the most actions pectoral region. Sorry, the shoulder region. Because you can see it kind of like it surrounds the shoulder, right? So it can actually, well, think about the fiber direction. It all starts with the fiber direction. If we can figure out how the fibers go, you can figure out the action, and you can clearly see that there are fibers that go kind of like 45 angle degree from the going from the lateral side towards the midline, towards the medial side. So obviously that will create internal rotation. So then there are fibers that go straight up. So that's from the side. So obviously these fibers will do abduction. Then there are kind of like 45-degree angle fibers from the front. Those will internally rotate the shoulder, and then we have, of course, flexion and extension as well. So let me show that. Let me quickly show that on myself. Oh, I think, did I share the screen? I didn't share the screen, huh? So it's basically you were just like looking at me, looking at my face, correct? I thought I shared the screen. So anyhow, so we're talking about deltoid muscle, okay? So I'll show that one more time on the three-dimensional. I was twisting around the three-dimensional like human, and I was thinking that everybody can see that anyway. So deltoid muscle will create internal rotation, external rotation, flexion, extension, and abduction. That's the one in the shoulder region that has the most functions, because it can like cups all this shoulder region from the front, from the side, and from the back, not from inside. And that's why, you know, this portion here is the most vulnerable portion. That's why it is the easiest way to dislocate it, kind of like adding force downwards, right? So that's the easiest way to pop the shoulder joint out, and because there's not a whole lot of stability here. There's a lot of stability on the front, there's a lot of stability on the side and at the back, not so much here, actually nothing really. There's kind of like an empty spot there. And now let's go to screen share. That's what I thought I was doing all along. Right there. So that's the deltoid. Sorry, and just to repeat myself once more, because I thought that you can see all this. So teres major and latissimus dorsi, as we can see here, in reality, there's no separation in the middle right there. These fibers really, they blend together. You can say that this is kind of like one muscle with two heads. Huge internal rotator, actually, right? Because as we can see that both of these muscles, they insert relatively at the same spot, and they actually come from relatively the same spot as well, because latissimus dorsi actually usually has attachment at the inferior angle of the scapula. Now that we are talking about deltoid, as we can see that it sort of has three regions. Again, it actually could be called muscle with three heads. So it could be actually deltoid triceps, deltoid triceps brachii, or something like that. Those could be possible names, but they just went with the deltoid. So actually, you could sort of like divide it in three regions, in three heads. There is the anterior head, there is the lateral head, and then there is posterior head. So obviously, lateral head is gonna produce abduction. That's the one that will elevate the humerus towards the ceiling. This head is gonna produce internal rotation and adduction. Posterior head is going to do adduction as well. Okay, let me actually, I don't want to confuse you guys too much. Let me stop somehow like that so we can, okay, I think that's Yeah, that's good. Let me go with the whiteboard. Okay, here we go. So deltoid, it's sort of like it wraps around. You can see that it will attach on the clavicle, all along the acromion and at the back of the scapula. So it can like it wraps around these bones, right? And then it's gonna insert where? It's gonna insert on the deltoid tuberosity. That's the most prominent tuberosity on the shaft of the humerus. This muscle has 3 heads. Here we can see anterior head and lateral head. Posterior head is at the back. So lateral head obviously is gonna pull on the deltoid tuberosity, and that is gonna create abduction. Anterior head is gonna, since we have this sort of like 45-degree angle fibers, it is gonna internally rotate humerus, adduct the humerus, so bring it closer towards the body, and flex the humerus. Is that understandable? Let's go back to video. So these 2 heads, right? So in that image, you could see anterior head and lateral head. Lateral head, one function. I mean, there's nothing else. It can only produce abduction, because it's not gonna rotate it, it's not gonna adduct it, not possible, because the fibers will pull it up like that. That's it. That's the only function it can produce. Anterior head, and the same goes for posterior head. Like they're basically kind of like mirror on the front and at the back. So this head at the front is gonna, because it has that 45 angle direction, it is gonna internally rotate humerus. It is gonna pull it closer towards the body, so adduct, adduct humerus, and is gonna flex humerus as well. So one more time. Let me stand up right there. So lateral head, abduction, closer towards the ceiling. Anterior head, internal rotation, flexion, and adduction, right? So it can pull your arm closer towards the body. It can pull it internally, and it can pull it up as well, right? So it can produce flexion as well. Same goes for the posterior head. Exactly the same, just opposite, just mirror-wise, right? So it is gonna, so there is head at the back, which is gonna externally rotate, extend, and abduct, right? So just the opposite. So extension, external rotation, basically, right? This one, internal rotation, flexion, adduction. This one, external rotation, extension, and adduction as well. So both the only similarity is that they will adduct. Both of them will pull humerus closer towards the body. Is that understandable? There's kind of like a sling from the front, sling from the back, and as both of them fire, they will bring your arm closer towards the body. If only anterior fibers flex, internal rotation, flexion, kind of like in this direction, basically, right? So, well, we can isolate only flexion, only adduction, only internal rotation as well. But as a whole, like let's say this head fires, like all fibers fire, it's going to be something like that, right? So like the muscle will produce internal rotation, adduction, and flexion. So that's the direction that your arm is going to go. If posterior head, all fibers are going to flex, it's going to be something like that. So external rotation, extension, and again adduction. So it's going to be something like that. right? So is that understandable? And then, of course, with lateral head, only abduction. That's the muscle with the most functions. So one more time. Anterior head, internal rotation, flexion, adduction. Lateral head, abduction. Posterior head, external rotation, extension, and adduction again, right? So when you think about the fiber direction, it's easy, right? It's not that complicated, really. We only tend to make it complicated. You know, if you only memorize it, it's abduction, adduction. It doesn't work like that. Think about the fiber direction; it becomes super easy. Let's share the screen one more time. So that's deltoid, huh? That's deltoid. So one more time. So here you can see right there, anterior head, lateral head, posterior head. See, 45-degree angle on posterior head, 45-degree angle on anterior head. If both of them fire both at the same time, obviously they will pull the arm closer towards the center, closer towards your body. If only this head fires, it's gonna pull the humerus kind of like upwards and closer towards the body and internally rotate. This is gonna basically just do the opposite, and this is only gonna elevate it up. Let's discuss insertion on origin. This is very good view right there. Here you can see that it is gonna originate from lateral half of the clavicle, acromion process, and spine of the scapula. See? Let's go back to the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. Okay, right there. So that's the origin. That's where origin, origo. It originates from clavicle, lateral half of the clavicle. Lateral half of the clavicle, or actually kind of like a superior anterior surface of the clavicle. Acromion process. That's acromion process. And spine of the scapula. That's where it starts. And then it will insert into the deltoid tuberosity. Right there. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at what Nikita Vizhniak says about this. Deltoid, right there. Okay. Okay, here we go. So as you can see right there, so that's origin. That's where it starts. Lateral, well, he says 1/3 of the clavicle. I mean, half or 1/3. I guess 1/3 is probably a little bit more precise. Acromion process and spine of the scapula. That's the origin. Insertion, that's where it inserts. Deltoid tuberosity of humerus, right there. That is the most prominent tuberosity on the shaft of the humerus. I think I gave one example a while ago with people that countryside people. They usually have this tuberosity is usually huge. There's that constant pulling on it, and bones will morph according to stress put upon them. And if you constantly yank on that tuberosity, it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes it is, like there's that pain cycle. I think I gave an example. My grandma had that. She had constant pain at this deltoid tuberosity. That's physical work. That's what it is. And here you can see the origin right there. So lateral third of the clavicle, acromion process, and spine of the scapula. So you see how kind of like it wraps around the shoulder joint. That's the most superficial muscle of the shoulder region for sure. That's deltoid nerve. Not that you need to know this. It's good to know, of course. Maybe one day we'll talk about nerves a little bit more in detail, but remember, if you can, axillary nerve. Axillary nerve. Okay. Let's take a look at latissimus dorsi, since we have it here. Because last time, now I clearly remember, we talked about 6 muscles, teres minor and teres major. Latissimus dorsi, I mentioned it, but we didn't really discuss the anatomy. We didn't discuss the origin, insertion, and that type of stuff. So here we can see that latissimus dorsi originates from the back. It has this huge tendinous structure at its origin, and it will start basically from the spine, right? We can see that it starts kind of like from the lower middle to lower spine. It actually it has the attachment at the sacrum as well, attachment at the pelvis, so the iliac crest as well, and it will insert into the humerus, kind of like medial surface of the humerus, bicipital groove. Let's take a look at that, what the Wisniak says about it one more time. So here, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor. We talked about all these guys. Pectoralis major. I don't think that's here, actually. Oh, right there. Latissimus dorsi. Okay, so this is gonna get a little technical. So what do we see here? What do we see? What could that mean? SP, SPS, T7, L5. I mean, it looks kind of confusing, but it's not really. So the SP, that refers to spinous process. Spinous process. T7 to L5. So basically what this says is that latissimus dorsi, this muscle originates from the spinous processes, which are these structures here. These elongated, so like these elongated protrusions right there. These are spinous processes, all of them. So we can see right there that this is where it starts. So this is actually thoracic region. So that's going to be T. Cervical region, that's going to be C. And lumbar region, that's going to be L. Okay. C, T, L. Cervical, thoracic, lumbar. And let's take a look one more time. What does it say? So it says T7 to L5, right? T7, L5. So what that means, it means that latissimus dorsi originates from spinous processes from the level of T7. That's going to be T7, and of course, T8, going downwards, T9, T10, T11, T12. That's the last one, right? And then the lumbar region starts. L5, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. So basically, it starts from the spinous processes of all the basically mid thoracic region to all to it occupies all this space right there. Spinous process T7, T8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and this is already lumbar region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As well, thoracolumbar fascia. Now, thoracolumbar fascia is this huge tendinous structure right there. You can see that it starts from this like sort of like a ligament, like a tendon almost, right? So that's actually a fascial layer, very tough, very thick. Thoracolumbar. Once again, let's think about the name. Thoracolumbar. Thoracolumbar. What does that mean? Thoraco. That's thorax. That's the trunk, basically. Thoraco. Lumbar. That refers to lumbar region. So basically, fascia that is found at the back in thoracic region and lumbar region. So that's thoracic and lumbar region. Lumbar region right there, L1 through L5. That's lumbar region, and basically like the back side. That's where it's found, right? And this is where that's basically that's what the name says. So yes, okay. So we covered that. So it's the T7 to L5 thoracolumbar fascia, iliac crest. Iliac crest is basically this lip here. Let me remove this. It'll start to get a little too confusing now. Okay, that looks better. Okay, right there, iliac crest. Actually, if we would be a little bit more specific, we could say posterior iliac crest, because it's just a portion of the iliac crest. It's not going to occupy the whole iliac crest. It is gonna only start from the back portion of it. So actually, if we want to be a little bit more specific, we could say posterior iliac crest. As well, posterior sacrum. So sacrum is this unification of sacral vertebrae. Okay. It's actually, it used to be separated vertebrae, but now they are fused, so that's the sacrum. And it's the posterior side of the sacrum, because sacrum actually has anterior side as well, which is found at the front, right? So like the other side is going to be called anterior surface. Back side, that's posterior sacrum. As well, ribs 9 through 12. So the last ribs, right? So that's 12, 11, 10, 9. And as well, and that I mentioned a moment ago, inferior angle of the scapula. That's inferior angle of the scapula right there. And guess what? That's where the teres major originates from. And that's, remember I said that teres major and latissimus dorsi, they sort of like, they make like one muscle basically with two heads. Because that's where the, and once again, let me sort of, and there, that's the direction the teres major fibers go right there. And then latissimus dorsi is gonna sort of like come like kind of like that. And really, they are almost like one muscle. They both do the same function. They both come from relatively the same same place, at least in this region. They come exactly from the same place. They come from the bottom of the scapula, so inferior angle. So once again, basically what I want to say here is try to think three-dimensionally. Try to think. Don't really separate muscles. Think of them as a union, as like a chain. And these two muscles are definitely hand in hand. They do the same function. Their internal rotators come from the same spot. So think of them basically almost like as one muscle. Okay, so that's the origin. I mean, that's that got a little probably a little confusing, maybe a little hard to swallow, but I mean that's anatomy. Let me go one more time over this. I'll quickly find it. Some difference. Okay, here we go. Right there. Let's go over all these. Let's try to do this one more time, looking at this, okay? So origin, insertion. Let's cover the origin part once more. So as we figure that out, so right there, so we can see spinous process right there. Let's zoom in a bit. So these are thoracic vertebrae right there. So that's the lower part of the thoracic rib cage. That's the upper part, and that's the lower part. So this should be T7 right there. 7 thoracic vertebrae, correct. So it starts from spinous process, T7, T8, T9, 10, 11, 12. And it continues downwards. You can see that these vertebrae are already kind of like different shaped. They are more massive. Spinous processes are not that pointy anymore. They are more kind of like robust. They are more fat. So that's the lumbar region right there. This should be, that's 12 thoracic. That's first lumbar right there. First lumbar, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Posterior surface of the sacrum right there. That's iliac crest right there. So it's actually it actually comes from the posterior iliac crest, not the whole iliac crest. It doesn't occupy the whole iliac crest. So this is this portion here is anterior part of the iliac crest. This portion posterior, as well thoracolumbar fascia. So this part here is actually part of thoracolumbar fascia. So that's where the muscle starts. And the inferior angle of the scapula. So you can see that it's sort of a right there. You can't really. I mean, this model doesn't really show that, but it actually does attach the inferior angle of the scapula as well. And really, it kind of like blends in with the teres major. So they both of them kind of like blend together really. And where does it insert? It inserts pretty much at the same spot where the pectoralis major, teres major, and latissimus dorsi. Let's remove the pectoralis major. Okay, here we go. Right there. So pectoralis major, as we remember, did attach to lateral part of lateral lip of the bicipital groove. Okay, let's actually, this is gonna work better if I'll draw this. Okay. Okay, I think we figured out what bicipital groove is in our last session, right? So there is going to be lateral lip, the one that's on the outer side, of bicipital groove, medial lip, and the bottom, right? So that's the bottom of the valley. Let me show myself one more time. Okay, so there's like a ridge. Okay, let's see.
I'm leaving, guys. Thank you. I have to run.
Okay, all right. Thank you, thank you. We'll end soon anyways. Let me quickly finish this point, and we'll probably finish anyways. Right there. So that's the bicipital groove. Okay. What does go through? Bicipital tendon goes through, kind of like that. Maybe better something more. Right, that's gonna be good. Yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, here we go. So that's the bicipital tendon, okay? There's one side and the other side. Obviously, the one that's closer towards, so like let's say, for example, left side shoulder, okay? So this is going to be my left side's bicipital groove. Medial lip, lateral lip. On the lateral lip, that's where the, so once again, so this is biceps tendon. So it kind of like it goes up, it wraps around, and it will insert on the superior aspect of the actually glenohumeral joint, so the glenoid tubercle. So that's the bicipital tendon, and then this groove, this valley, is gonna have kind of like a lip on one side, lip on the other side. Lateral portion, that's where pectoralis major is gonna attach. So it's gonna go right across that bicipital tendon, right across all these other attachments. It is gonna attach here. On this side, on the closer lip, that's where the teres major will attach from the back, right? So like it comes kind of like from here, from the scapula, inferior aspect of lateral border of the scapula, and is gonna insert into this portion here. At the bottom of this groove, that's where latissimus dorsi is going to attach. Okay, so this huge muscle right there is going to occupy the bottom of this valley. Okay, so if we layer all this up, okay, so let's think three-dimensionally. One layer on top of another layer on top of another layer. So the first layer is actually latissimus dorsi. Okay, latissimus dorsi is going to occupy the bottom. Then bicipital tendon on top. Then teres major on this side, and then pectoralis major on top. Is that clear? Yeah. So once again, so bottom of that valley, latissimus dorsi, bicipital tendon after, teres major on the medial lip, and pectoralis major on top. Okay, pectoralis major, teres major, latissimus dorsi, all of them will internally rotate the shoulder. So basically everything that will attach to that bicipital groove is going to pull your pull your humeral bone towards like internally, right? So let's take a look at that one more time. Okay, right there. So that's what I was talking about. So there's that groove, there's that valley. So latissimus dorsi at the bottom, that's teres major, medial lip. Okay, latissimus dorsi once again, right there. That's the bottom. And then pectoralis major on top. Let's see. Right there. Maybe you can sort of see like right there. See how it kind of like goes on top, and that's where the biceps tendon goes, right there. Actually, let's add biceps. Yeah, why not? Let's add biceps so we can see how that looks. Where can we see biceps? Okay, all right. Okay, so that's like that's the tendon right there. See how that looks like? Very interesting, huh? That's that three-dimensional view right there. So pectoralis major on top. I don't know. Like let me show you. So oh, here we go, baby. And that's it. That's gonna be better. So here we are looking at biceps, okay, and we sort of see. Okay, that's pectorals. That's biceps. That's teres. Let's zoom out a bit. Okay, all right. Latissimus dorsi. That's the bottom. Let's go layer by layer, okay? So as I said, all these structures layer up on top of each other, right? So the first one, that's the closest one to the bone, is latissimus dorsi. That's going to occupy that bottom, okay? Then the second one should be biceps, right there. That's like that tendon right there. Is gonna run right through that valley. Then teres major, that attached to the lip, medial lip of the bicipital groove, and on top we have pectoralis major. I don't know, is that yes, right there. See how yes? I mean it's not that easy to see that all that stuff happening here, but yeah, you can kind of see right there. So that's pectoralis major, that's teres major, latissimus dorsi, bicipital tendon. Latissimus dorsi at the bottom, teres major medial side, biceps tendon right through that valley, and pectoralis major right on top of all that stuff. And of course, there's going to be other structures, you know, like that's. I mean, there are veins and arteries, nerves running right through these structures. It's quite interesting to see how all that stuff fits together. I hope we'll get a chance to talk about all this in greater detail one day. Right now, we're really just looking at the muscles. I mean, it already seems quite, you know, like it's too much. Turn your mic on. Let's talk about it. This is probably where we'll stop anyways, because it is too heavy. This material is quite heavy, right? So really we did add latissimus dorsi. We did a quick review of sits muscles. Once again, that concept of internal rotation, external rotation, why internal rotators are stronger than external rotators. We did add deltoid muscle, so 3 heads really, anterior part, lateral part, posterior part. Deltoid is the muscle with the most functions, so it's going to produce internal rotation, external rotation, flexion, extension, abduction, adduction as well. Latissimus dorsi, the biggest muscle of the back. That's basically what the name says. Latissimus dorsi, big. It's not big. Big is major. Latissimus means broad, wide, broad muscle of the back. That's basically what the name says, and it is the biggest one. Once again, it will blend in with teres major fibers. They both will insert relatively at the same spot. Latissimus dorsi will occupy bottom of that bicipital groove. So that's the bicipital groove. It's going to go right at the bottom. Bicipital tendon on top, teres major on medial lip, and on top we'll have pectoralis major, right? All these 3 muscles, pectoralis major, latissimus dorsi, teres major, are internal rotators, huge internal rotators, so powerful, right? External rotators only intraspinatus and teres minor, and those are the ones something goes wrong. Those are the ones that we'll fix. I think we'll probably stay at this. We'll probably end here. It's just gonna be, we'll keep talking, just too much information all at once. Too much, not good. Next time probably we'll add a couple more, or maybe we could actually start to talk about some other region. We'll discuss that in our email, like through our emails, and or maybe a Facebook page, and then we'll see. Maybe there's some another idea. Maybe you guys want to talk about some other region, and we can jump to that. Because I can talk about shoulder region forever. I mean, not forever, but probably for a couple of other months. There's no end to this. Turn your mic on. Let's hear you. I don't think I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Yeah.
Something wrong. I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
It's all good now. I can hear you. Yes.
All right. No, I was just saying that it's. I think we should continue to repeat this information for a few months. Maybe we can jump into some kind of other region and then come back again to this one, because now it just comes and pops in my mind. Why is everyone has those postures like this, and explains everything now. So for me as a personal trainer, I can see already what's the suggestion. What can I do? What can I do to fix that posture problems? And maybe already there's some kind of problem and pain. And so actually it's
okay. This is quite interesting for me. So what would you suggest? So this internally rotated like posture, elevated shoulders, internally rotated shoulders. What would be your suggestion as a personal trainer? So what realistically?
I will actually check very carefully the posture, how far it's gone. Maybe he's complaining already about something or not. Maybe it's just my professional view of that posture. I can see already it's like something going on in that, and then I'm gonna suggest to think about and change maybe some kind of training program and concentrate more on those muscles that makes opposite, and that opens the shoulders, and the posture goes back in the right position. That they not continue to concentrate on those big muscle group that does the opposite and rotates inwards. So that's the first thing. If it's no pain, if it's nothing, bothers the person, so I suggest to concentrate more on those other type of muscle, to change the program, actually a little bit, concentrate, and then come back to see how it goes, because it's repetition in that also. Because it was many years in a training in such.
Something happened. Yes, you're back. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you're back. All right. I was just. I can't see you. Can't see you. Should you continue?
Yeah, I can't see myself.
Yeah, I can see you. So.
Okay, just keep talking.
Yeah, and that's the first thing, suggestion. And the next one, I will not do anything at all if there's some kind of, I don't know, pain or some complaining about something. I will just suggest to go some kind of therapist and to it's like some information to the person that he can think about, that there's something going on in that region, and he has to do something else to get better, to not continue to do and train the same way, because it's going to be some kind of problem in the future, definitely. So that's my opinion. I can hear myself.
Everybody can hear you. I can hear you. You can hear yourself.
No, it's like sound coming back. Oh, now it's okay.
Yeah, it's
It's okay.
Technologies, right? We'll figure this out. Like every time there's a little bit of a little hiccup, but things are improving, and every time it's just gonna improve and improve.
What do you think? What do you think about that kind of suggestion? No,
it's good. Like it definitely makes sense. It's like the repetition. Like all this stuff. It's just like mind training, body training. It's all the same thing. But the most important thing is that you have to look at the amount. So in training theory, and this both of us, we are graduates from Academy of Sports Education, so we know training theory. I hope, at least I hope so. So because it's all about either increasing load, intensity, or repetition. So like the count, how many times do we do this, right? So it's like we have to play with these variables. If we are talking about shoulders rotating inwards or outwards, okay, we are doing some, like we are going through some kind of training program. There's this type of exercise that that could be correct. No problem with that. And like let's say 3 times a week we do this. It's usually not enough. Okay, even if we do like twice, 2 times, 3 times, like probably 5, 6 times, usually is not even enough a week. What I would suggest is a shorter period of time, shorter, like not whole a lot of intensity, not whole a lot of load, but a lot, many times a day. Like not just once a day, not just like let's say 6 times, 7 times a week, or once a day, or twice a day. I would even say after every hour, or like after every half an hour, every day, if you want to correct the posture. Because you go, like let's say, even if you go every day, like for 1 hour to the gym and like do all these proper exercise, usually it's actually not enough. Even with that, like like for most of the people, that would be just like mind blowing. Like it's not gonna fix anything. But usually that's the case because think about 1 hour versus 23 hours.
Of
Where
course.
you go to the gym for 1 hour, like you work out, like let's say work on those external rotators, and what about the rest of the day? What about those 23 other hours?
Yeah.
So like that, to correct the posture, it's really very, very tough. It is doable, but you really have to be almost like you have this mindset of like a monk, like mind guru type of, like you just have to become that type of person to really to be so determined to break that cycle, because that's what it is. We have to break that cycle. And then there are some methods, that like what you were describing was one of the methods. So okay, we can do that with the postural exercise where we bring our shoulders back and externally rotate the arms and just hold it. That would actually, that's very appropriate, and this is the one that I suggest a lot of my patients and back in Canada. Most of the people that do computer work just like sitting in front of the computer and do this all day long with those internally rotated shoulders. One shoulder is going to actually go a little bit more towards the front. If we are right sided, usually left side shoulder goes up, and there goes the balance side to side, front to back. And it's very hard to correct that because you go and do your gym thing, whatever that would be, like those exercises that physio prescribe you or massage therapist prescribe you, and then you go back to your station and you keep clicking on that mouse and it goes just right back. So it has to be if you work that type of job, after every half an hour or 1 hour, you have to stand up, walk around, drink some water, come back, do your little exercise, and continue. That's the only thing that's going to work.
It's a conscious control all day long. It's not. I understand. It's about everything. If you're talking about the mindset, and it's not just a little bit you think about something. It's all day. It's your control all the way. Yeah, that's very good point. That's very good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like as for you as a personal trainer, well, definitely strengthening those external rotators, but don't you can easily go into this it's kind of like balancing on the line, like slack line. It's like you have to balance on it. You don't really want to tip over on the other side as well, because if you overwork those external rotators, it's not going to do good anyway.
But the balance, how you determine the balance, because if you can see the problem and he's overtrained those muscles, rotates inwards, how you determine the balance between the muscles, and how you suggest to train, because you can't just I don't know, maybe you need some period of time to concentrate more on those and leave
leave everything else kind of like on secondary plane, and just focus on that. It makes sense.
And then come back slowly to those other muscles. But it's I think it's many years. It's not like you train for a few months and that's it. It's gonna fix everything, because it's going to be a job all day long, whole year and all life. If you did something wrong again, the posture. I think so.
Well, correct, definitely, 100%. It's very fine line. But what I was gonna say is that keep in mind that even though these external rotators are overpowered by internal rotators, so they are in disadvantage. They should be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Really kind of like to oppose that internal rotation. Even though they are kind of like there's this imbalance, even though they are in disadvantage, they should be stronger. Still, they are outer unit muscles. They are not inner unit muscles. There will be still muscles that will produce quite a bit of power. They're outer. Let's go back to inner unit and outer unit. What that really means. So inner unit means that those muscles are steadily at work. They're always on their work. Like they're always working a little bit, even when you're sleeping. Outer unit muscles don't really work all the time, but they can produce this large amounts of power, right? So they work mostly on glycogen. They work mostly on creatine phosphate. Inner unit muscles, core muscles, work mostly on oxidative phosphorylation, right? So they're completely different type of fibers, different type of ratio of fibers. So what I'm trying to say is, infraspinatus and teres minor, they are still outer unit muscles, and it is easy to overtrain them as well. Like if you will start to train them specifically and like too much. I had this example with waiter. Okay, so waiters, in my practice I have seen this. Like it's it would almost seem kind of like weird, a little bizarre. How can you develop trigger points in external rotators because they're weak?
Because it's constant.
But you can. So I mean, like it's very easy to go into that direction as well, where you just overwork them, they develop trigger points, and they're just like jammed up, and it's no good. Again, and you're still with that imbalance, So you didn't fix anything, and so it has to be very fine balance, So basically, what I would suggest, like for you as a personal trainer, you have to develop a program that involves both. Like you still have to, like that tug of war. You still need to work on both sides, but gradually, like, and literally, you have to kind of like almost fiddle with this load, fiddle around with this, increasing the amount or load or any of that. Like you have to see, and everybody is different. Every person is different. What is like easy for somebody, it's not going to be easy for somebody else. So if you are working, like, let's say mostly on chest and bench pressing and all that, so obviously you need to start kind of like working on those external areas as well. But like little by little, and kind of like little by little, even it out. Little by little, even it out, and open up that space. So you were saying that you yourself have like problems with nerve compressions and all that. So you can like open up that space and do a lot of stretching. Stretching super important before and after your workout. So it's quite important. You have to put all that puzzle together like that. So it's not gonna, you have to be enthusiast. You have to be healthy lifestyle, training, all that stuff. Like you have to be very, very focused and enthusiastic about that. Only then it's possible to actually for something to change. Some actually results to happen.
It's always like in the big picture. It's always like many puzzles that has to fit together. It's not the one thing, and it's everything goes out from the that you want to read. That's what you're saying. You have to manage to put those puzzles together and focus on them. That's I completely agree with this, and it's not very easy, to person that has those habits to just switch on the new picture and to concentrate on it. That's the whole job of trainers or therapists, that you have to help to get on track and keep going on that track. I think it's always good, to see that and help to be on the track. That's awesome.
Well, as a trainer, you can only, first of all, you can only suggest. You can only show the way, and that's all you can do, really. You can only show the direction where that person is going. There's not going to be anything.
I can help to stay on track, you know, because it's always like professionals. They have to work together. It's like therapist, trainer, massage therapist, or everyone, you know. So that can help the person stay on that right direction. So I think it's like that, you know. Every one of us is like concentrating on some specific thing, but it's all together. It comes from one person to get there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Right. That was awesome lecture, actually. I'm very thankful for that. As always, you know, very interesting. New questions, new answers. You know, something.
Well, this is just the beginning. I mean, you know, like hopefully the group grows. What I was gonna say, let's try to talk about it, like either on the Facebook page or maybe like even on YouTube, like, you know, you can comment or whatever. Let's figure out the topic for next lecture all together, you know, because I just go my own pace. I can, you know, I can keep doing it the way I'm doing it. Basically, I just pick pieces. I just grab this, grab that. Let's figure out a good topic, what interests most, and we can zoom into that. Okay, so like, or for example, if there's a question, okay, like for example, like we were just we spent probably 20-25 minutes just on this little subject, which could be a topic for a lecture, you know, and then we can basically have this discussion and right along this. You know, I can throw an example in or something. I can show a picture, or I can show these structures which are actually pulling on on the shoulders over the front or back or whatever, and go along with the actual conversation, as opposed just to give you know, anatomy lecture. That's probably going to be a little bit more appropriate for the audience, anyways, because most people just don't. I mean, it can get very technical so fast, you know, and generally, like naturally, I would just go in that direction. I would just go into that technical type of stuff. Just when we were just like looking at latissimus dorsi, not whole of a lot there. I mean, it's not that complicated, but you know, like even just talking about origins and insertions, you just have to have that basic knowledge of basics. You know, like what is spinous process, what's iliac crest, what's posterior sacrum, what you know, these structures. You just have to know them. So I mean, you know what I mean. I think we should probably figure out, like, all together as a group. Let's figure out a topic. And now there are quite a few people that will join in eventually. You know, like they just don't have time right now. They're not available. So let's get everybody involved in that conversation, and let's figure out the topic, and then
awesome. Yeah.
Then we go for it. You know, whatever that is. You know, like shoulder region, maybe another region. I have these runners in the group now, so they obviously want to talk about running more than this. I can talk about anything. So yes, let's talk about that, and let's figure it out. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
See you next time. So.
See you. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye bye.